So I'm going to try something a little bit different this week. I'm going to try to actively give you some kind of feedback and voiceover after each session, so that way I'm not doing it at the end of the week. Overall squats today, 3 sets of 8 with 187.5 kilos or 413 pounds. These were interesting because I thought it would be a good idea to eat a half of a cake before training. It was not a good idea. I felt awful on both ends, literally and figuratively. But for this, they actually thought the weights moved really well. In fact, especially this last set, I felt like I could do these forever, and I actually had to tell myself I needed to slow down. So I guess that's a good thing, but I will not be doing that half a cake pre-workout again. I don't think I've been able to eat since. Moving on here to bench, 3 sets of 8 again. Showing you the last sets here for these top 2 main sets, just because I think it'll be a better idea when I rate these for the RPE on the spreadsheet that I fill out accordingly. Because this is above 5 reps, I'm just doing kind of touch and go, and these felt really good. I'm trying to actively kind of keep my shoulder blades retracted and really make sure that I'm not extending them on the press, which is interesting because I feel like I'm not really locking out. Finally, going to do some safety bar squats as well. Did 3 sets of 4 on these. Didn't really push it too bad. These were supposed to be RPE 6.5. I probably could have gone even heavier. I did these beltless though, just because they felt better on that rib issue that I've been dealing with. And I was surprised because I haven't done these in probably a couple months, but I really like these safety bar squats. I was glad to see them in the training program. I also did some pull-ups on this day, but no one really wants to see that. So bringing us to day 2, I felt a lot better this training session, mostly because I didn't eat a cake beforehand, and everything moved really well. I felt like all these sets were between RPE 6 to 7, so they felt extremely light, despite the fact that the numbers were actually pretty decent in my opinion. So 4x4 here with Spoto presses with about 235 pounds or so felt a lot better than last week, and I thought I probably could have even upped the weights here some. I also decided to wear these LO Bean slippers during my training session, mostly because I was too lazy and didn't feel like putting on my heeled shoes to bench, which I normally wear, but I didn't have to squat, so I didn't feel like doing it. And surprisingly enough, these have some really good traction, these flat rubber soles. And I normally have a hard time getting a good grip on the ground if I'm not in heeled, but these felt great, and so great that I decided to wear them for my deadlift sets. I did 4 sets of 3 here with 485 pounds at about an RPE 6, and these felt great as well. So looking forward to taking a day off and getting into the next training session. So with that day off, I decided I really wanted to push myself in the next training session because the way that squats worked were 4 working sets of 5, with the first 3 being RPE base, so RPE 6, then RPE 7, then RPE 8, and then dropping to a percentage base of around 75%. So here you're seeing the very top set of the day, which is actually the third of 4 with 225 or just about 500 pounds. And again, I really wanted to push myself, and I think this was probably right on par, if not a little more aggressive than it needed to be. After this, that last set was with 200 kg or about 440 pounds or so, and those all moved really well. But overall, very happy with this and glad that I'm pushing myself a little bit, because with RPE, as you probably know, I have the tendency to overestimate things, so I was really glad that this seemed to be pretty on point. So for bench work here, had 6 sets of 3 at 107.5 kilos, but I decided to round up to 110 just because I get lazy when it comes to loading. Here seeing the very last set, so the 6th set of 6 for 3, and these felt pretty good. And one of the things I was really thinking about this session was not tucking my elbows too much. I think I have the tendency to overanalyze how much I tuck, and this can actually be a negative. So I really want to make sure that these things are lining up well, and everything felt really good. So when I talked yesterday about struggling with RPE, I think part of that is just due to the programming, in the aspect that, you know, I have squats on back-to-back days, or I'm squatting, then deadlifting pretty heavy the next day. And I'm always really cautious because the way that I lift, it really fatigues my lower back, and I want to make sure that I'll be able to have it for all sessions throughout the course of the week. And that being said, even though I pushed myself yesterday, today went pretty well. I had 2 top sets of 235 kilos for 4, and I wanted to just show you one of them here. I thought it moved pretty good. And I also wanted to include my last back off set. So this was the end of deadlifts, and it was a little bit less weight than what you saw previously, but I wanted to have a side view just to kind of see if my form was breaking down tremendously, and I thought it actually held up pretty well. So very happy about this, given the fact that too we squatted pretty heavy this week. So things are feeling pretty good when it comes to squat and deadlifts, as they usually do for the most part. Now bench, one of the things I wanted to focus on with this particular session was really kind of slowing the descent down, because I was really trying to actively imagine my elbows loading the weight here and making sure that the wrists and the weight stay over my elbows. And I I think it worked pretty good because this was the best my bench has felt in a long time. I think it looked pretty good too, but maybe I'm just partial to it because it's my bench. But this was supposed to be at an RPE 8, my last set of 5, and I think it was right on the money. So, good training week overall. Happy about it. Looking forward to next week.